Hi there. I'm going to cover the Tangerine User views form response in alternative templates user story. In my sandbox here, we have a case. Lisa Simpson. It's been filled out on this client and uploaded to this editor. And there is a form in here. If we open it up on both sides, in the test issues created programmatically on client, in this form, it has some added functionality related to templates. On the editor side, we'll notice these new buttons that we have here, print, and this is the alternative view or view mode selector. The first option is form. This is what we're seeing right now. And the second one says print me. This is an alternative template for this form response that is provided in the content. You provide a label. We'll see how that works. Let's go ahead and select it. When I select it, I see the data in a different format. It says please print this and some content from the form response. That content is of course coming from an input on a form response. So here it is filled out, and now switching over to the alternative view. Cool. Now we also have this print button. So if I wanted to print this out, this gives us a nice way to view without, to print things out without a form response, without the headers and the sidebar and things like that. Now over here on the right, on the client, we'll note when we open up and look at the view options, there's only form. So on editor, we get the print me option, but not on client. All right, let's look at how all of this is configured. In the case module content set, let's look up the form that this is associated with. It's going to be test issues created on client form. Nope, not that one. There, programmatically on client. So in forms JSON, above and beyond the usual basic properties of a form definition, we have this new templates array that can be defined. And it's an array of objects, so you can have as many templates as you want. For each template that you define here, you'll have another entry in this dropdown. And they are configured by, you give it an ID, a unique ID, a label, print me. That's what we're seeing there, print me. We have an app context of editor, and that this is the reason why we're seeing it in editor and not client. If we wanted this to show up in client, we would define it as something as client. If we want it to show up in both editor and client, we would make two entries, both pointing at the same template. I'm going to keep it as editor. All right, and this is where the content of the template lives. We provide a path similar to the source path of the original form itself. We also provide a path to the alternative template, an HTML file similar to the form. You could put this anywhere. You could have a share, you could use the same templates across forms if you wanted, but probably a good convention would be to put the alternative templates for a form right next to the form HTML. So here we have, if we check out this folder, test issues created programmatically on client, open that folder up, we see the form HTML and then the alternative template here. So it's when we click this button, print me, it loads up the template and dynamically generates, fills it with data and prints it out to the screen. So how do we make these dynamic? In this example, the first line here is a bit of a helper. We'll get into that in a second, how this helps us, this first line. But just notice we've got, please print this, a break line, something in bold, another break line, and then we say in a template variable, encapsulated with $ parens, or $ curly brace. We say response inputs by name, the address input, and the value. Going back to that forms JSON, note how the name of this input is address. And so that's what we're referencing here. And we're printing out the value. And so that's what you see as the result here. Now, so there might be a lot of different, well, you might be working on an example that's a lot more complicated, and you want to iterate over radio buttons or things like that, and you get into some more complicated use cases. That's what this little debugger statement is going to help you with. This line here, line 1, is a way to put a debugger statement in your template. So it's a bit of a dense piece of code. It's kind of a hack, but I'll show you how it works. Let's make this wider, open up the dev tools, and reload this page. Actually, I didn't need to reload. Could have just re-rendered the template. Cool. All right, so now that I've selected the template is rendering, and it, as you can see, it stopped on our debugger statement. Ignore line 1, and here we have the good stuff. I'm going to clear this console and just show the helpful part about this is you can now, if you're wondering what the data structure of something might be, you can start exploring it in the console when you have the debugger enabled. So response dot, we wanted to look at like what the data structure of this stuff might be. So we can actually reference the response object and then go into inputs dot inputs by name and see that there's an address, and then okay, let's get that out, and that's an object, okay, which has a value, right, of what we want to get out there. So that's how you might explore the data that you want to be templating out. This is using a template syntax called JavaScript template literals. There's the possibility of doing for loops, conditional statements, and that's out of the scope of this video, but it's a Google search away. And we may have more complex and interesting examples of templates in the future here. In particular, I would imagine it'd be useful to see like how to iterate over Tangy checkboxes to just show the values of all the things selected. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful.